Over 60? Stop eating these vegetables. They raise stroke risk overnight. Now, I know that sounds shocking, maybe even hard to believe. But what if I told you that one of the vegetables sitting in your kitchen right now, the very one you've always believed was good for your heart, might quietly raise your stroke risk while you sleep? Imagine this for a moment. You finish a light, healthy dinner. Maybe some greens, a little olive oil, nothing heavy. You go to bed feeling proud. You've been eating better, taking care of yourself. But the next morning, something feels off. Your head is foggy. Your hand tingles. Or maybe your words stumble for just a second. You shrug it off. Just getting older, you say. But sometimes, it isn't age, it's chemistry. And surprisingly, it can start with the foods you trust the most. According to the American Heart Association, over 60% of minor strokes happen during sleep. And about 1 in 3 are linked to nutrient imbalances or food medication interactions. A Harvard study even found that the same vegetable can react 3 times differently in a 70-year-old body than it does in someone in their 30s, especially when it comes to how we process oxalates and vitamin K. So, does this mean you should fear your salad bowl? Not at all. The good news is, once you understand how your body changes with age, you can still enjoy every bite, safely, while protecting your heart and your brain. In this video, we'll uncover 9 vegetables that seem harmless but can quietly raise stroke risk if eaten the wrong way. And more importantly, I'll show you how to keep them in your diet the right way so you stay strong, sharp, and confident every morning. Before we dive in, let me ask you something. How old are you, and has this ever happened to you? Feeling a little dizzy or off after a healthy meal? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every one of them. Thank you for joining me here on Senior Health Tips, Healthy Aging. Now, let's get started. Number 9. Spinach. You probably grew up believing spinach was your best friend, Popeye's secret weapon for strength and energy. And for decades, that was true. But after 60, things start to change. See, spinach is packed with nutrients, but it also hides something your body may not handle as easily anymore. Oxalates. These tiny compounds can bind with calcium inside your bloodstream and form microscopic crystals. Think of them like grains of sand slowly building up inside a thin pipe. Over time, they can make blood flow a little harder, a little slower, especially in the delicate vessels of your brain. According to the Mayo Clinic, people over 60 with even mild kidney decline can have 20 to 30% higher oxalate levels in their blood. That means what was once a superfood might start acting more like a silent saboteur. Take Mary, for example, a 72-year-old retired teacher from Ohio. She loved her evening green smoothies. Every night, spinach, banana, a splash of almond milk. Healthy, right? Until one morning she woke up with slurred speech and numb fingers. Thankfully, it was a mild stroke, but her doctor later explained her kidneys weren't filtering oxalates efficiently anymore, and her calcium supplements were making it worse. Now, does that mean you should never touch spinach again? Absolutely not. The key is timing and balance. If you enjoy spinach, have it earlier in the day when your kidneys are most active, and avoid pairing it with calcium supplements or dairy at the same meal. That simple shift can make all the difference. Because sometimes even an old friend like spinach just needs new boundaries, not a goodbye. And coming up next, the vegetable even more common than spinach, one that's found in almost every American kitchen. Number 8. Broccoli. Broccoli, the green powerhouse we've all been told to love. It lowers cholesterol, supports the heart, fights inflammation. On paper, it's a superhero. But like every hero, it has a hidden side. You see, broccoli is packed with vitamin K, the very nutrient that helps your blood clot when you get a small cut. That sounds great, until you're taking blood thinners, like warfarin. Because vitamin K doesn't just help clotting, it can override your medication, making your blood either too thick or too thin. And when that happens, even a small dose of greens can tip the balance between safety and danger. According to the CDC, nearly 1 in 5 seniors on warfarin experiences an unstable INR. That's the measure doctors use to track how fast your blood clots. Simply because they changed how much green vegetables they ate. Take John, a 68-year-old veteran from Florida. For years, he'd been stable on his medication. Then one summer, he decided to go healthy. Every lunch, a plate of steamed broccoli. He felt great until a routine check showed his INR had spiked dangerously high. His doctor asked, "What changed?" "Just the broccoli. Nothing else." The truth is, broccoli isn't the enemy. Inconsistency is. Your body likes rhythm. So if you eat greens, eat them consistently, the same general amount each week, and always let your doctor know before making big diet changes. That way, your medication and your meals can work together, not against each other. Because health isn't about cutting out what's good. It's about learning how to balance it. And sometimes, danger hides not in the heavy meals, but in the ones that seem light as a leaf, like that simple salad you have at dinner. Number 7. Romaine lettuce. Picture this. It's dinner time. You want to eat light, so you make yourself a fresh bowl of salad. Crisp romaine, a few cherry tomatoes, maybe a drizzle of olive oil. You lean back afterward feeling proud. No heavy carbs, no sugar, just clean greens before bed. It feels healthy, but for many people over 60, that innocent salad might quietly thicken your blood overnight. Here's why. Romaine lettuce acts as a mild natural diuretic. It gently encourages your body to release water. That's not a problem during the day when you're awake and hydrating. But at night, while you sleep, it can leave you slightly dehydrated without you realizing it. And when your body loses even a small amount of water, your blood becomes thicker, making it harder for your heart to pump smoothly. Now, combine that with another fact. After 60, our thirst signal drops by nearly 40%. You don't feel thirsty even when your body actually needs water. That means you could go to bed slightly dehydrated and wake up dizzy, heavy-headed, or with that sluggish morning fog feeling. Take Susan, for example, a 70-year-old grandmother from Michigan. Every night she'd make herself a cold salad before bed, thinking it would help her sleep light and wake up fresh. But instead, she often woke up feeling weak and lightheaded. Her doctor explained that those salads, especially eaten late, were pulling water out of her body just before long hours of rest, when hydration is already low. The fix is simple, and it doesn't mean giving up your greens. If you love romaine, enjoy it at lunch or earlier in the evening. And if you do have it for dinner, make sure to drink at least a small glass, about 200 milliliters, of water before bed. Because even the lightest meal can quietly tip your balance overnight. And sometimes, it's not what we eat, but when we eat it, that makes all the difference. And coming up next, there's another vegetable that looks even gentler than lettuce. But for blood sugar, it's a double-edged sword. Number 6. Carrot. Carrots, bright, crunchy, naturally sweet. They've always had that reputation of being the perfect snack. Good for your eyes, your heart, your skin. But what if I told you that eating a raw carrot at the wrong time of day, like before bed, could actually raise your blood pressure while you sleep? Here's what happens. Carrots are rich in natural sugars and simple starches that break down very quickly. For most younger adults, the body handles that just fine. But after 60, metabolism slows, and the way your body processes glucose changes. When you eat a high-starch or sweet food at night, your blood sugar rises fast. That triggers your body to release cortisol, the alert hormone, which in turn tightens your blood vessels and makes your heart work harder. The result? higher nighttime blood pressure, lighter sleep, and that groggy, heavy-headed feeling in the morning. A Stanford study from 2022 found that adults over 60 have about a 27% weaker insulin response after evening meals rich in starch or natural sugars. So even something as innocent as a raw carrot can quietly stress your system when eaten late. But here's the good news. You don't have to give them up. The secret lies in pairing. When you eat carrots with a bit of protein or healthy fat, say a spoon of Greek yogurt, a handful of walnuts, or a dip of hummus, your body slows the release of sugar by nearly 50%. That means a gentler rise in blood sugar, a calmer heart, and a more restful night. So if you love that crunchy, refreshing carrot snack, enjoy it earlier in the day. Or pair it smartly, because sometimes what feels light and healthy can be a little too energetic for bedtime. And if you're finding this tip helpful, go ahead and tap like. Because next, we're talking about a vegetable so powerful, it can actually cancel out your medication in just a few days. Number 5. Garlic. Garlic, nature's little miracle. For centuries, it's been praised for lowering blood pressure, protecting the heart, and keeping the immune system strong. Just 1 clove a day, they say, can keep the doctor away. But here's the twist most people don't realize. That same clove of garlic can also make your blood dangerously thin, especially if you're already taking medication to prevent clots. You see, garlic contains a compound called allicin. It's what gives garlic its smell, its bite, and its healing power. Allicin helps keep blood flowing freely by reducing how easily it clots. That's wonderful if you're healthy and not on medication. But if you take blood thinners like warfarin, Plavix, or even a daily aspirin, that extra thinning effect can quietly tip the balance too far. A Cleveland Clinic study found that garlic can increase the potency of blood-thinning drugs by up to 40%. That means the dose your doctor prescribed may suddenly act much stronger than intended. Just ask Robert, a 74-year-old retired firefighter from Michigan. He started taking garlic capsules every morning because he'd read they were good for circulation. Within weeks, he noticed frequent nosebleeds, easy bruising, and constant fatigue. His doctor discovered his blood was too thin, not from his medication, but from the extra boost the garlic pills were giving it. Now, that doesn't mean garlic is the villain. Far from it. Cooked garlic, the kind you add to your meals, still carries benefits, but with much gentler effects. Cooking reduces allicin strength, making it safer for older adults, especially those on medication. So here's the takeaway. Treat garlic like medicine, not just food. A little goes a long way, and if you notice signs like unusual bruising or lightheadedness, talk to your doctor. Used wisely, it keeps your heart strong. Used carelessly, it can quietly work against you. And speaking of balance, the next vegetable on our list doesn't thin your blood. It can actually make your blood pressure drop too fast. Number 4. Onion. We all know onions are great for the heart. They help lower blood pressure, clear arteries, and support healthy circulation. Sounds perfect, right? Well, here's the part most people never hear. Eat them at the wrong time, and that same heart helper can make you dizzy enough to faint. Here's why. Onions are rich in a compound called quercetin. It helps your blood vessels relax and open up, which is why it's known to lower blood pressure. That's a good thing, unless your blood pressure is already being managed by medication. When quercetin meets your blood pressure pills, the effect can double up. Your blood pressure may drop too low, especially at night when your heart naturally slows down. That's when you might stand up to use the bathroom and suddenly feel the room spin. Doctors call it a transient cerebral hypoperfusion. Basically, not enough blood reaches your brain for a few seconds. You might not pass out completely, but you could lose balance or fall. In one small clinical observation, nearly 70% of older adults who combined raw onions with evening blood pressure meds reported mild dizziness or blurred vision. And that's not something to ignore. The good news? You don't have to give up onions. Cooking them actually cuts their quercetin activity in half, making them gentler on your system. So if you love onions, add them to your lunch soup or sauté them with dinner. But try not to eat them raw, especially late in the evening. Your body needs stability through the night, not a roller coaster of blood pressure swings. So remember, timing matters just as much as what you eat. And speaking of timing, the top 3 foods ahead carry even greater surprises, where the risks become much harder to ignore. Number 3. Corn. Corn. For so many of us, it's a taste of childhood. Backyard barbecues, butter melting over warm yellow kernels, that sweet crunch that just feels comforting. But for a body over 60, corn isn't as innocent as it looks. In fact, it's a lot like white bread in disguise. Here's what most people don't realize. Corn breaks down fast. Its natural sugars are absorbed quickly, spiking your blood sugar. Then just as fast, that sugar crashes. And every time it does, your body pumps out cortisol, the stress hormone, to bring levels back up. That's what leaves you feeling jittery, tired, or oddly hungry again after what seemed like a light meal. When researchers at the University of Michigan in 2023 tracked older adults who ate corn at dinner, they found nighttime blood sugar levels rose by 25%, followed by an early morning dip, a cycle that stresses your heart, brain, and sleep quality. Think of it this way. On the glycemic index, corn scores around 60, almost the same as white bread, which is about 70. So while it feels like a natural choice, your body reads it as another starchy carb bomb. That doesn't mean you need to banish corn forever. It just needs a smarter partner on your plate. Pairing it with protein or healthy fats, like grilled salmon, avocado, or even a few walnuts, slows down sugar absorption by nearly half. And timing matters too. Your metabolism and insulin response work best earlier in the day, so enjoy your corn at breakfast or lunch when your body can handle that sugar burst more efficiently. The goal isn't to fear food, it's to understand how your body changes with age. Because what once gave you energy at 30 might be silently exhausting you at 65. And speaking of silent effects, the next food on this list looks perfectly harmless, even elegant. Yet it can dehydrate your body overnight faster than a salty snack. Number 2. Asparagus. Asparagus. It looks refined, right? The kind of vegetable that shows up next to salmon at a nice restaurant, drizzled with olive oil, maybe a hint of lemon. Most people think of it as a light, healthy choice. But here's the catch. This fancy vegetable has a sneaky side, especially if you enjoy it in the evening. Asparagus acts as a natural diuretic, meaning it gently pushes your body to release more fluid. During the day, that's usually fine. It helps flush out sodium and supports your kidneys. But at night, it can leave you slightly dehydrated while you sleep. And when that happens, your blood thickens just a bit. Think of it like syrup sitting in the fridge overnight. It moves slower, heavier. For an older body, that's not something to ignore. According to a Mayo Clinic review, nearly 60% of adults over 60 who regularly ate asparagus at dinner showed signs of mild dehydration the next morning. Dry mouth, lightheadedness, or waking up groggy. It's subtle, but consistent dehydration can raise the risk of tiny blood clots or morning dizziness when you first get out of bed. Here's the good news. You don't need to quit asparagus. You just need to outsmart it. Have it at lunch instead of dinner, when your body's fluid balance is easier to maintain. And if you do enjoy it later in the day, follow it with a simple glass of water. About 1 cup or 250 milliliters. That small step keeps your blood flowing smoothly, and your circulation steady through the night. The truth is, no vegetable is truly bad. It's all about when and how you eat it. For older adults, Timing is half the secret to turning food into medicine instead of stress. And speaking of timing, the final vegetable on our list is the most common of all, the one nearly every American eats daily, without realizing how deeply it can affect their heart. Number 1. Tomato. Tomatoes. The poster child of healthy eating. They're in every Heart Smart cookbook, every salad commercial, every health ad you've ever seen. But here's the twist. After 60, that same bright red fruit that's supposed to protect your heart can sometimes confuse it. See, tomatoes are rich in lycopene, histamine, and natural acids. During the day, these compounds help blood vessels stay flexible. But at night, they can have the opposite effect, triggering cycles of dilation and constriction that leave your blood pressure bouncing up and down while you sleep. Ever wake up at 3 a.m. with your heart pounding for no reason? For some older adults, it's not stress, it's dinner. A 2021 Harvard study found that adults over 60 who regularly ate tomatoes at night had a 17% higher risk of mild circulatory disturbances, things like morning dizziness, tingling fingers, or sudden head rushes when standing. Nothing dramatic at first, but over time, those nightly fluctuations strain the cardiovascular system more than we realize. The fix? It's simpler than you think. Cook your tomatoes. Heat breaks down those reactive acids and makes lycopene easier to absorb. And try eating them at breakfast or lunch when your metabolism is more active. Pair them with magnesium-rich foods like spinach, almonds, or oatmeal that help stabilize vascular tone and smooth out pressure changes. Tomatoes aren't villains. They just need the right timing, especially for a body that doesn't regulate blood flow like it used to. So, let me ask you, when do you usually eat tomatoes? Morning omelets, midday sandwiches, or a pasta dinner before bed? Your answer might reveal more about your heart health than you'd think. And before we wrap up, stay with me, because I'm about to share 2 powerful secrets that most healthy eating videos never mention. It's not just about the vegetables. It's about how your body changes after 60. You see, after 60, your body isn't breaking down food the same way it used to. Your kidneys, those incredible filters that once ran like clockwork, start to slow down. The medical term is reduced glomerular filtration. It simply means your body takes longer to clear out waste and balance electrolytes. At the same time, the walls of your blood vessels lose some of their flexibility. They're no longer like soft rubber hoses. They're more like slightly stiff garden tubes. Still functional, but one wrong change in pressure, and things can go wrong fast. Imagine your circulatory system as a network of those hoses. When you were 30, they flexed easily. No problem handling a little extra salt, sugar, or pressure. But now, if blood gets too thick from dehydration or sodium spikes, that hose can't expand as quickly. It's under constant tension, and that's when trouble sneaks in. Headaches, dizziness, even those small silent strokes people never notice until much later. But here's the encouraging part. You can absolutely adapt. Start simple. Stay hydrated. Aim for about 1.5 to 2 liters of water a day, unless your doctor advises otherwise. Load your breakfast with vegetables. That's when your metabolism is at its best. And keep dinners light and low sodium to let your heart rest at night. And here's a secret trick I often tell my patients. Keep a 1-week food and medication journal. Write down what you eat, when you take your meds, and how you feel. You'll start seeing patterns. Maybe that harmless salad at night keeps you up, or your morning coffee makes your blood pressure jump. Once you see it, you can fix it. Because health after 60 isn't about eating less, it's about eating smarter, in harmony with a body that's earned its wisdom. Here's the truth most people don't realize. You don't need to give up your favorite vegetables. You just need to know how and when to eat them. Think of your body after 60 as a wise but sensitive instrument. It still plays beautiful music, but it needs the right rhythm. And that rhythm comes down to 3 golden rules. First, timing. When you eat matters as much as what you eat. Vegetables that act as natural diuretics, like asparagus, celery, or romaine lettuce, can gently pull water from your body. That's great during the day, but at night it can make your blood thicker and your pressure unstable. The same goes for oxalate-rich greens like spinach or beet leaves. They can strain your kidneys if eaten before bed. So think of it this way. Morning is for cleansing. Evening is for calming. Keep your heavier or active veggies for breakfast and lunch, and save softer, easy-to-digest ones for dinner. Second, balance. Your plate isn't complete without a partner for those greens. Pair vegetables with a source of protein or healthy fat, and never forget water. Protein slows the absorption of sugars, and fat helps you absorb key vitamins like A, D, and K. Meanwhile, hydration keeps your blood moving smoothly, especially important as your body's thirst signal naturally fades with age. And third, awareness. Be mindful of how food interacts with your medication. A simple bowl of broccoli or garlic soup can change how your blood thinner works, or how your pressure medicine affects you. So whenever you adjust your diet, talk with your doctor or pharmacist. You're not being cautious. You're being smart. Because when you truly understand your body, you don't have to fear food. You master it. You don't restrict your life. You reclaim it. Every bite becomes a choice, not a risk. And that, more than any diet, is the key to living strong and healthy at any age. We've just explored 9 familiar vegetables, from spinach and broccoli to the humble tomato. And what a journey it's been. Each of them, once seen as purely healthy, turned out to have a hidden side, a quiet reminder that even nature has its balance. After 60, eating well isn't about eating less. It's about eating wiser. Your body has earned its experience. It simply needs a little more understanding, a bit more intention with every bite. Because the truth is, awareness isn't restriction. It's freedom. When you know what your body needs, you stop fearing food. You start using it as your ally, not your enemy. Remember this: what you eat today builds the clarity, strength, and independence you'll carry into tomorrow. Every meal is a small investment in the life you still want to live, full of energy, confidence, and control. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which vegetable surprised you the most? Maybe it's the spinach you've always loved, or the tomato that suddenly feels more complicated. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might help someone else stay safe, or even prevent a silent health scare. And if this video helped you see your dinner plate in a new light, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Together, we'll keep learning how to keep the body strong, the mind clear, and the spirit independent, no matter what age we are.